And welcome to another hashtag Finance Friday. And this month we have been talking about goal setting and planning for the year and reflecting and vision boards and all sorts of interesting things like, I don't know, one word for the year and journal prompts and interesting tools and techniques that will help us to make sure that we are getting 2021 into a stage that is going to be our best year ever. So what I wanted to do today is not just share out of my own perspective and out of my own experience, but instead I have asked 3 guests to come join us today, and they will be sharing about their own experience with goal setting, with vision boarding, talk us through their processes and how they are making sure that they are implementing and sticking to their goals every year during the year and not just at the start of the year. So check out these 3 interviews coming up your way.
Okay, so our first guest today is Terence Knott-Craig. He is a business mentor and a coach and a transition coach, and I don't know, he's got all sorts of interesting things that he gets up to. So Terence, just go ahead, quickly introduce yourself the way that you like to be introduced.
So my name is Terence Knott-Craig, and I'm a passionate developer and encourager of young people. And I do that through a number of different methods. Kristine has mentioned some of them, but essentially I like to think of myself as a hope engineer. So whatever we do, creating hope at the end of the day, through mentorship, through training, through transition coaching, whatever it is that you need, at the end of the day, it's moving you from where you are to the place that you want to be.
I like that. I always like Terence's tagline saying he's a hope engineer, because I think we all need a little bit of hope in our lives sometimes. But yeah, so Terence, we're chatting about goal setting, vision boarding, understanding the whole process. Why don't you just share with us a little bit about your experience in terms of how you go about getting to the point where you have set goals for the year?
Okay, so it's quite a process that I've gone through myself, from setting goals and failing, and setting goals and partially achieving them, and setting goals. And more recently, I've realized that it's a lot more than just I've got a goal. It starts off with much more than that. And if you don't start off with the right space, then you end up having things that don't mean much, and that's when you fail, because it hasn't got the meaning that you really need behind it. And so for me, it starts with what is that vision that I have for my life or for my business, and that vision is it's a dream. It's that picture, that thing that you really are passionate about and want to get to, and possibly there's a date to it, but not necessarily close. In my case, I'm not a youngster anymore, so my vision date is quite close, and then I work at goals, and the goals are really like milestones to achieve that vision eventually. And so my goals are made up of long-term goals. Those are the goals that, for me, are the goals that I set for year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, around there. So they're goals. Then the medium goals, and those goals are from year 2 to 5, and then short-term goals are year 1. The key about those goals is that each goal helps you achieve another goal. So my goal for year 1 must be the first step in achieving my final vision. It must help me achieve goal 2 in year 2, and my goal for year 5, and so on, all the way. So that each goal is a milestone to achieve a later goal. So if you start at the bottom, it's difficult to actually work out that pathway. But if you know where you want to go, then you can start moving back and saying, well, to achieve that, I need to have achieved these things, and you can set them in order, which is priority and makes sense from a smart point of view.
Yeah.
Achievable for that period of time, they are measurable, and there's a specific time frame, obviously very specific as well. So for me, that's about the process to go about it. And then be able to set goals that are not impossible. I mean, that's smart. Being achievable is really important. As soon as you set a goal that you know you are not going to achieve, you have taken the first step to give up on your goal. So it has to happen. And then part of goal setting is about how do you measure yourself for that goal. So we talked about long, medium, and short-term goals. And now we've got even micro-term goals, because for year one, you want to achieve something by the end of this year. So what am I going to achieve by the end of this month?
Sure.
And then month 2 and month 3. So every goal is made up of sub-goals, and sometimes even more than one sub-goal, but there are sub-goals. You can't have too many, because if you have too many, you will be overwhelmed, and again, you will think that you're a failure and give up.
Yeah.
So these are things that goals are tools to give you hope.
I like that.
And that's essentially what it's all about. If you set your goals to help you fail, well, you can't have hope, and you can't have joy in what you're doing. Listen, you've got to have fun. And so the goals must be things that help you to achieve and have fun, and then obviously celebrate. If you don't celebrate the things you have achieved, then why would you achieve the next one? So
Absolutely.
There's so many things. It's not just a little things in a little bundle. There's a whole bunch of stuff to work through.
Sure.
And finally, I believe that goals are one of the building blocks of your business or your life. Just like you have building blocks or building materials that you use to build a house, you need certain building blocks and building materials to build your business. Goals are one of those.
Sure.
And so you need to have specific goals. Those goals obviously make more sense when you know where they're going to be placed on the foundations you've set for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that takes you back to a vision. One of the foundations of your business is being able to set decent and good visions for you to know where you're going.
Sure. I like how you've brought that full circle, because I think sometimes we lose track somewhere along the line, like things become disconnected from our vision, or our vision becomes disconnected from whatever else is happening in our lives. So I think it's really important for us to make sure that we remember that it's this holistic picture. And I like how you identified the fact that we need to celebrate our victories when we have achieved a goal. Doesn't matter how big or how small it is, we should still be celebrating that. And I know our listeners know that I like Michael Hyatt, but he always suggests that you set out that reward that you will have while you are busy creating your goal. So you've set your goal, you already know what you need to do, you know what the next action steps are, and then set your reward or how you're going to celebrate that win at the same time. Because I know for me is I go for moving lampposts, right? So I achieve this goal, okay, fine, perfect, what's the next one? And I just keep going, as opposed to just recognizing that there has actually been an achievement. And as you said, that's where you get despondent, right? That's
the first step to achieving the goal of not working yourself to a standstill, Kristine. So that should be one of your goals. But there's an opposite side to celebrating. There are chances are that outside factors affect the possibility of you achieving your goals. And so the goals need to be flexible enough that you can not change the goalpost because you're not performing, but you can change the direction of your goal according to the circumstances. If you don't do that, you're in trouble. And let's just face it, this last year is one of those cases. Absolutely. We all had goals. COVID came along and knocked us sideways. The people who are successful were able to adjust their goals to the circumstances they're in. And still, even this year, if you are willing to sit back and say, well, that's my goal, I can't achieve it because of these things, but I can achieve some of it, and then I look at opportunities to make that happen. That's important. So goals are not set in stone, particularly if you're looking at 10, 12 years away. However, they are really good guidelines, and it'd be crazy just to change them for the sake of changing them. The fact that we need to change them leads to the next step. Is that if this year's goals need to be changed in any way, it stands to reason that my longer term goals would also need to be changed.
Yes.
And you need to go and check them and make sure what changes you need to make. Otherwise, you've got a goal that's sitting over here, and you end up with little goals taking you this direction, and then you're setting yourself up for long-term failure, and that's not what it's all about. It is about hope. If you cannot keep yourself on a hope track, the joy goes out of what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. And that is going to close us off for this part of our interview. Thank you so much, Terence, for sharing your wisdom. I think it's really important for us to make sure that we are reviewing, revising our goals as we go along, and just again, understanding how our goals fit into the bigger picture of our vision and how that translates into the long term. So thank you so much for joining us, Terence. We'll chat again.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, cool. So for our interview number 2, we have Ayanda Lande here. She is the founder of a recruitment type business. She has an interesting app called Placer app that I've been very involved in for the last little while, Ayanda. And it's been so fun working together, and we've got some interesting plans up our sleeves for 2021. But Ayanda, over to you. Just quickly introduce yourself the way that you like to be introduced.
Okay, well, thank you first of all, Kristine, for having me on this platform. And hi, everyone. As she has introduced briefly, my name is Ayanda Lande, and I am a founder of a company called Ngqubusini Solutions, but specializing at this stage on a concept of one of the concepts of the company, which is called Placer. It's a recruitment app that specializes with your graduates' job readiness and having to upskill them. So that's what easy with. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today, Ayanda. That's great. So Ayanda, you were part of our vision board workshop last year, and I still have the pictures, and you even appeared in our little video that we made after the session.
Nice.
Yeah, so great having you there. Won't you just tell us a little bit about what that was like in terms of the process? Like, what was the process like? How did you find the whole workshop? How have you implemented that vision board during 2020 and maybe even beyond?
Well, it was fun. That I must stress out. I think what it also does, Kristine, is it takes you to bring, your pictures to life. What you have in your mind when you're putting pictures together, it becomes alive. Yeah. So for me, it was basically having to get to build, using pictures and reflecting and being so conscious of where I'm going and where my future is, where am I moving or taking my business to do with my personal, my business and financial. Yeah. And amazingly enough, yesterday I went through those boards.
Oh, wow. How crazy.
I really did. And I was reflecting and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, the power of pictures and words put together. Some of the things I'm taking, I'm like, wow, I did wrote this and this is actually really happening. This is what we're talking about. So the power when you're doing that, putting your picture and the vision, when you're writing it down, it does all on. It does bring it to life, and that's basically what I'm experiencing right now. So that's I'm grateful for that opportunity. It's a must. It's a must. Very, very important.
There we go. That's what we want to hear. I found so I did my vision board at the beginning of 2020 with the rest of you guys as well.
Yeah.
And then lockdown hits, and I was like, I feel like I cannot keep any of these things on my vision board. I promptly folded it up. It went into my cupboard, and I was like, I don't even want to look at this. It feels like dashed for 2020. How did you make sure that you actually stayed in tune with that and reconnected with that on a regular basis? Because I think so often we set these lofty goals and New Year's resolutions and all of those things, but we struggle to stay motivated and actually carry them out during the course of the year.
For me, I'm a Christian, and being prayerful about my goals and plans each and every year and consistently. So as much as at times I don't reflect and go on my vision board, but the consciousness of who I am and where I want to go, it connects me with that vision board, because I'll find it most of the time, as much as I'll pray about my plans and my goals, I will have my written plans and goals. And whenever I will go, whether it's within a month or so, and I look at that vision board, I'm like, I'm still, I thought this thing, I'm busy doing something else, but it kind of brings me back to be in line and focused instead of being all over the place. Yeah. So what it does, and you'll find out most importantly, Kristine, you'll attract the resources, the people to do with that vision. Especially when you continually, you're conscious. And you're praying, like if you're a Christian, you're praying and you're speaking words, you will, without you being like you planning to do that, like I'm going to go and do this. It will just happen like, oh man, this was in my vision board. This is, so that's what it does. Like what people say, the universe responds. And the minute you put it out there, the process is starting immediately without you having to toil. So you just find yourself being in the right place with the right time with the right people. So that's what happens, that being prayerful, writing the vision down, and being conscious of it. So it will keep you to reflect back. You're like, oh, I'm still in line, and it keeps
I like that. I like that. I think it's really important for us to stay focused on that. I think one of the big things with the vision board is don't do what I did and fold it up and put it back in your cupboard, right? But you can see it every day, because that's one of the problems that we face sometimes is we have these fancy goals and these dreams, but we don't see them. But it's that visual stimulation that really helps to make sure that you're moving closer towards that, because it helps you to stay focused. So I love that.
So true. So true.
I like that. Okay, final question for you quickly. One of the questions that I addressed in my #Finance Friday video last week was how often we should be doing our vision board. And I shared with them there that you need to do it as frequently or as infrequently as you wish. And I've gone through a period of time where I've done a vision board on an annual basis. But it's not always necessary, right? Because sometimes what's on your vision board is still very much relevant to where you are. Maybe just talk to us about where you are at in that journey.
Okay, I think this different strokes for different people. So I'm going to start to differ. From my side, when I did my vision board, I literally put my all into it, and I had to dig in deep exactly where is my purpose, where I would like to, to be 5 years from now. So I gave it some time. I remember the first one I did about probably 3 or 4 years ago. I took almost like 3-4 days having to do the vision board, and I did that one in 2019 when we did that one.
Yeah.
I focused on, okay, let's just break it down, the things that I'm focused on. Yes, I did that one, and it was like so many things in one being put in place at once. So I just focused on, when it comes to business, what am I focusing on? So for me, I keep on reflecting on those things that I promise myself to achieve, I promise myself to complete. So until those things come to pass, because they are to do with my purpose and with my plan, I'm not creating anything else. What I normally do is I write down steps and measurements to at least assess where am I going and what needs to be done to ensure that is completed, because I like to see some progress at the end of the day. Absolutely. So far for me, that is working. I'd say for me, up until at least there's more new developments, I'm still sticking to ensuring that has come to pass, and I am completing tasks that are in my visions. I can tick. So
tick them off. I like it. It's like a to-do list, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, Ayanda. And I think I really agree with what you're saying. Let's use our vision boards to make sure that we stay focused and we stay relevant to where we want to be. So until next time, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so we are on to interview number 3. I can't count, I promise. And we are talking to Varonique Philander. She is the founder of Chaya Legal. So as you can tell by the name of her entity, she is an attorney by qualification and by trade. So Varonique, just go for it. Introduce yourself the way that you like to be introduced.
Hi, thank you so much, Kristine. Yes, I'm Varonique Philander. I am a practicing attorney and conveyancer, and I'm passionate about small businesses, and that's why my business, called Chaya Legal, focuses on providing affordable legal solutions to small businesses.
Awesome. And just for our listeners out there, I can highly recommend Varonique's legal services. She's always very prompt at responding and very affordable, which is great for the small businesses in our space. So go chat. But Varonique, tell us a little bit about how you have gone about planning for 2021, because I felt like I just hit the ground running straight away. Like I barely had time for. I literally planned for February this past weekend, and my whole January went past without planning for January, which was really not the plan at all. But I know that you had a slightly different approach. So why don't you just talk to us about what you did to plan for 2021?
Well, yeah, I think, this is my 5th year doing what I'm doing. And I really just wanted to do, I think, after doing it, being in business for so many years, actually, although it doesn't feel that way, it's crazy. Because you keep on going and going and going.
Yeah.
I really just wanted to have focus this year and, be intentional in everything that I do. And that would mean, like, in terms of what we offer, the services that we render, the services that we don't render, because that's also very important to understand.
Yeah.
Because there'll always be opportunity, as an entrepreneur, you will always be presented with opportunities. And it's really important to understand which opportunities are for you and which opportunities will distract you from what you've set out to do for that particular a moment in time. And so my approach was, instead of going in, ground running, being available, from the 1st of January 2021, yes. I said, no, I'm not available from the 1st. I'll only be available from the 18th. And basically what I'd done between the space of the 1st to the 18th was really just try and set out time for me to just get my thoughts in order, to really get my strategies and plans in order. And yeah, it went okay. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't as it could have been if I had maybe sat at the beach at Plate, or maybe awesome. In the forest in Knott-Craig. Would have been a much better experience. But I can say that I feel like it's very clear, in terms of the objectives and strategies that we are going to be implementing, that I'm really excited about Chaya Legal. So yeah, it was somewhat successful in that regard.
Okay, well done. Well, at least you came out of that period with a plan, right? Because I think sometimes we can become distracted. You're trying to put time aside and be like, I'm focusing on my business right now, or whatever you might be focusing on. But it's so easy to get distracted by our environment or pings on our cell phone or emails from people that don't realize that we're still on leave. Like, how did you manage that? Because for me, I find that is really a problem, because I feel like I need to be on call potentially all the time, because I need to be responsive and good customer service and all of those things. So how did you deal with that? Was that a problem for you?
I think to an extent, yes, it was, because obviously it's not knowing that my customers are small businesses and understanding sort of the challenges that they face, and when they face a challenge, it's not next week or in 3 weeks, it's now, it's today, that they expect that type of a service, and because they expect that type of a service, I want to render that type of a service, because I want them to be happy with the services that we provide, but also, feel like we're taking their businesses seriously, because I think one of the key things sometimes when we don't respond quickly, people think, oh no, but I'm not taking you seriously, and should I pay you more, or whatever the case might be, is then the trust gets influence and that type of thing. So for me, with my clients, it's always important to just communicate clearly, and that's what I've done. To communicate, look, I hear you, I want to help you, but I'll only be back, fully from the 18th, and for some I communicated in that way, and then I touched base again, when I was back last week. So that's sort of how I navigated through that. I think I could have, there's always ways of doing it better, by, informing, but it's all sort of centered around communication. So I could have, obviously maybe communicated earlier and all of that. So I think it really is a matter of communicating that to clients, and then normally they understand.
Yeah, I must say, I do want to agree with that. I think it's so important to keep communication lines open, because often I've realized that if I just communicate in a positive manner, the likelihood of them accepting my offer is so much greater. Like, actually, not everything is urgent, and not everything has to happen today. They just need to know that you have, as you said, I hear you, I've acknowledged your request, and I will get there at a certain point in time. And I think that is definitely something to take away for me for this year, to say, cool, I am going to respond to
hopefully every mail or every request that comes my direction. It's in the positive or the negative, but at the end of the day, being able to give a deadline or a timeline and say, by this date, I will be able to respond to you, because that just helps to clarify expectations. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Awesome. Would you like to share any of your plans that you have for Chaya Legal for this year? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, why not? I think one of our key strategies is to really assist small businesses with their online compliance. So many, because of the pandemic and COVID and all of that, a lot of people have shifted towards marketing their services online, shifting their services offering like online, and they haven't looked at the legal compliance aspects of that, like privacy policies, terms of service, things like that. And we'll be really looking at that, especially, your services businesses, making sure that, they're covered. So really focusing on consultants as well, virtual assistants, those type of services, trainers, and all of that, really getting into that space. So I'm really excited about that, and really building on our online community as well. So that would be our focus, and obviously Poppy as well. So people that wanting to know more about how to become Poppy compliant, they can definitely go and check out our page. We are doing some free information sessions as well.
Cool.
So I think that was a mouthful of a lot of plans.
That's awesome. I love it. So obviously your 18 days of planning has paid off. So well done. And thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And also just your plans for 2021. And to our listeners, you can check out in the comments below. You'll be able to find some links to Varonique's training and her online community. And I definitely need to just brush up my knowledge about Poppy, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So make sure you check that out. Cool. Okay, thanks so much, Varonique, for joining us. We'll chat again soon. Bye-bye. Okay, that was 3 awesome interviewees or 3 awesome guests that we spoke to there about their goal setting process, vision boarding, and even going on mini sabbaticals. Really interesting, right? So I hope that you found this session fruitful and interesting and really useful to be able to take some of their tips and tricks and advice and try and implement it in your own business and in your own life as well. So make sure that you check out our vision board workshop, which will be coming up in February. It's not too late to sign up. There are a few 50% off coupons still available, so make sure you do that. So until next #Finance Friday, this is Kristine signing out. Bye.